Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Stress Less, Accomplish More call with me, Stephanie Matos. So excited to be the host of this call and excited to get to spend time with you today. I am a mindset coach on the Brightly Thrive team, and this call is really all about helping you stress less. I think the title says it all, doesn't it? And learn a couple things that might be fun for you to implement in your everyday life. The intention really is for you to live a really full, happy, successful, exciting life, not only at work, but also anywhere else that makes sense to you or matters most to you. And so that's really why I'm here. And I'm so happy that you guys are here to join me. Thank you so much if you're joining me live. Really, really, really honored that you have chosen to spend time with me today and each other. So thank you for that. And if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching the replay. If you are watching the replay, I'd like to invite you to join us live. We have a lot of fun in these calls, and hopefully they will just keep getting better and better. The more the merrier. The more the merrier. Okay. So we were already chatting up a storm, and I had to go ahead and hit record because I wasn't I wasn't recording. And basically, what we were discussing was how you might be able to send me questions and things like that. There is a Google Doc that I believe is located in Slack. I do have to double check that. I'm almost certain it's located in Slack. So if you are, for example, unable to join me live, you're more than welcome to send questions on that Slack, or I'm sorry, on that Google document. However, I also my hope is that over time, this call becomes a place that's a very safe space, that is a place where you guys feel very comfortable opening up and talking about things. This is really how I host I host many calls like this throughout the week. I'm super blessed to be able to do this work in many different organizations. And once we get to a point where we know each other, my intention is that you guys will start to ask questions live here, either in the chat or unmuting. However, it's cool if we're not there yet. It is okay. I have a lot of things that I can talk about. And what we were just talking about before I hit record was um, I got this idea that this could be something cool to talk about before we hopped on this call, which is this understanding that your body can actually memorize different ways of being, thinking, feeling, and acting. And if you guys are interested in this, I would love to get a little, you can either raise your hand or you can give me a thumbs up. There's little emojis in the reactions button. If you're on a laptop or a desktop, if you hover your mouse down, you'll see a little reactions button that you can do a heart, you can do a thumbs up. I see you guys are thumbs upping me. So does that sound like an interesting topic of conversation? Thank you, Jess. Thank you, Randy. Anybody else? If you aren't, thank you, Melissa. If you're not interested, that's cool too. You can tell me. I promise I will not be offended. It takes a lot to offend me. But I would love it if you would instead give me a different topic that maybe you might be interested in talking about. But it sounds like people are on board with this. So we'll move forward. So one of the things that really was eye-opening to me when I first started my entry into this space and in this world of mindset and habit transformation and neurology and subconscious programming. Subconscious programming will be a different topic that we can talk about on a different day. Is that your body actually can, you're very cute. There's a chipmunk on my call, or a bear. So what I was going to say is that I really was surprised to understand that your body can actually memorize feelings and emotions. Okay. Has anybody ever heard of this concept? Okay. So we have some people who are nodding their heads. Has anybody what are you talking about? Okay. Randy's like, I will admit, what do you mean? Okay. So let's talk about this. So in the body, your mind, and I actually probably should have drawn this out before I even came on, it starts with a thought. Okay. So you might have a thought of, I can't believe that person cut me off. I can't believe that person wrote me that mean email. I can't believe that person told me they were going to finish that report today and they didn't. I can't believe that somebody just said that out loud. I can't. So, right. So it starts with a thought because all of those are thoughts. So we might have some sort of input or data that has come into our world. It can also come in the form of, let's say, a smell where it's like, oh my gosh, what is that? Or who's burning something? I smell something burning, right? So it's your five senses are taking in data that leads to a thought, which creates a chemical cocktail of events inside of your body, right? Hormones, peptides, etc. All different kinds of things are being elicited through your body, through your brain, or into your body through your brain. And what is really interesting about this is that that chemical response can become a memorized response. Okay, so let's get a little deeper here. Like, what the heck do I mean by that? So um, Melissa has this beautiful ocean background, right, with this palm tree and the ocean. Well, I have had the blessing to be able to travel a lot. I actually was just in the Cayman Islands for about 3 months. And let me tell you, whenever I look at her background, I feel really happy when I see that background. That might be one of the reasons why she chose that background because she's like, this feels good, right? So for me, that elicits a calm, feel good response, right? Now, let's say somebody else had a really traumatic experience on a beach, right? Fill in the blank there, right? That visual might not be such a nice response. Does that make sense? So basically, depending on what the experience is that you've had around all different kinds of things, these feelings can become what they're called anchored. So trigger, response, trigger, response, trigger, response. Okay. So me, the trigger, beach, response, ah. Somebody else, trigger, beach, response, ah. Different kind of ah, A, H, right? And so what we want to understand is that this is happening throughout our whole entire day, throughout our whole entire week, all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, is that we're having automatic responses to things in our reality that we're not aware of. I want to give you a few more examples of this. So I grew up in the 80s. Okay. So when I hear 80s music, 90s music, 2000s music, I it makes me want to bop around. I might start singing, all of this kind of stuff because it's anchored to many childhood memories and things like that, right? Happy memories. Now, if there is a song that you're like, oh my gosh, I remember when I was young and I used to do this, and then it makes you smile and you start singing it, right? Or there could be a song that was on when something really sad happened. Maybe it was either at a funeral or something like that, that every time you think of that song or hear that song, you want to cry, right? Same with smells. It could be that your grandmother or somebody really important to you used to bake apple pies or make some other type of food, right? And now every time you smell that smell, you have this warm, fuzzy feeling, right? Or it could be my grandfather smelled like peppermints because he always had peppermints around. And so every time I smell peppermint, I think of my nice grandfather, right? So you can see how different things that you either see, feel, hear, right, etc., taste or smell, whatever, can elicit in your body an emotion. Does that make sense? So, and if it doesn't make sense, let me know, and I can go a little deeper. But you guys understanding what I'm saying? Okay. So, what's interesting about this, you guys, is that this can get attached in positive ways or negative ways, right? So, I just gave you examples of positive ways or negative ways. What can oftentimes happen is that we accidentally get anchored to environments that we go to quite frequently. So if you either work in an office or at home, generally speaking, you probably always work in the same either cubicle or office or environment or whatever it is, wherever you are that you're working from. And what can happen is that if you are very stressed as a result of either personal life, professional life, or a mixture of both, what can happen is that every single time you sit at your desk, open up your laptop, or turn on your computer, like let's even say your computer has a sound that it has whenever it turns on, that might accidentally go blah, 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 and cause that chemical cocktail of events of stress to turn on in your body. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? Has anybody ever experienced this? Or do you need clarity or anything around what I'm discussing? Okay, awesome. Now that makes sense. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love that you're letting me know that you get this. Awesome. So what we want to understand, right, is that this can get connected to people, places, things, ideas, and beliefs as well. Okay. So if there's someone who every single time you interact with them, they are either a little bit negative or a lot of bit negative, or a little bit mean or a lot of bit mean, or just not very helpful, not very kind, what can happen is that if you're seeing this person on a daily basis, you can accidentally have a set point of stress that then drips into other aspects of your life, including your home life, which let's not do that. Let's not bring our work home. Let's just not do it, right? I know that it's hard to do that sometimes. We'll talk about some strategies on how to close the day, close the book, and come home fresh without bringing home some of this extra gunk and junk on accident, right? We'll talk about that a different day. I only have 30 minutes. You guys can tell I like to talk a lot. So we have to cover that a different day. But what the biggest thing that I would like to ask you to do, or maybe just for you to consider, is when I open my email inbox, am I already stressed? When I open my laptop or turn on my desktop, am I already stressed? When I am entering in my password to get into the system, am I already stressed? When I walk into this office, before I even walk in, am I already stressed? Right. And if the answer is yes, you're in good company. Okay. So if the answer is yes, I would say the general population of people have never been taught this or understand this concept at all. Okay. So what is cool about this is that you can change that set point. You can change the set point, but it takes a lot of intention setting. What do I mean by that? There was a time that I used to avoid my email inbox at all costs. And then guess what would happen is that I'd be stressed out because I'd have so many emails to get back to. But it's because my email inbox, for whatever reason, I had accidentally anchored it to very negative thoughts and emotions and feelings and all of this kind of stuff. And so I had to make friends with my email inbox. I had to make friends with maybe speaking on stage or being on camera. I had to make friends with um, interacting with people that maybe weren't the nicest or kindest, right? I kind of just had to make friends with these things and understand that I actually am the CEO of my nervous system. So that's a nervous system response. I like to call you the CEO of your nervous system because guess what? You own it. You are the owner, operator, president, CEO, CFO. You are in charge of all the different divisions of your body. Okay. So if you are feeling a ton of stress on a daily basis, this is something that we really do want to address. And it's not just because it's not fun, it's because it's actually very detrimental to your health and wellness. There are a lot of studies that show that people who have chronic stress would be defined as on a daily basis or on most days of the week. Okay. I don't know if anybody can say like, hello, in this day and age, that's quite common. Okay. It's quite common that people are feeling more stressed than they've ever felt before. And the more chronic the stress or the more on a daily basis the stress becomes, the more memorized it becomes in the body. And actually, it becomes a habitual response. It becomes a habit, just like, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, the way you make your coffee, the way you drive to work, all of these kind of things are ingrained in the body, nervous system, and subconscious programming. And so, what we want to do is understand, oh, I accidentally got some negative emotions connected together, right? So trigger response, trigger response. So the example that I just gave, if you guys have any examples that you want to share, if you feel comfortable sharing, I would love to hear them in the chat. If this is like, wow, this is cool, you can tell me that in the chat too. You can say whatever it is that you want in the chat. I definitely want this to be a dialogue, not just me monologuing all the time. Although I'm okay to talk a lot, I love to hear from you guys as well. Oh, very cool. Thank you for that. I'm so glad that you're loving the information. Thank you for letting me know that. So what this means, and if you can look at my hands, right? Trigger response, trigger response, trigger response. For me, it was email, stress, um, getting something put on my plate that I wasn't expecting, stressed, right? So what we want to understand is that see how these things are very connected and there's literally no space in between. So it's like trigger response, trigger response. I see something, I see something, I open my email, I turn on my laptop, like my body physiology is responding so fast. It feels as though there is no space in between. But the truth is that these things aren't connected. Okay. There's actually, you can pull these apart. And so then we have trigger response, but there's a little gap in between. And in that little gap is where you can put in something else. Oh, yeah, I remember I learned about this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple deep breaths, recalibrate my nervous system, understand that that email is not a lion or a tiger or a bear that's going to attack me. Understand that I have survived 100% of all of my hardest days. Understand that I always get it done eventually, some way, somehow. It always ends up getting done. Okay. Now I go into the email. Now I open up the report. Now I go into whoever's office. Now I go have that conversation with somebody else. Now I go home from work, right? Again, we'll talk about kind of work to home hats and containers and things on a different day. Are you guys understanding what I'm saying? I know I've already asked you this, but I just want to make sure before I move on. So they're awesome. Thank you so much. There's a lot of power in intention setting. Okay. So when I say intentions, it's saying when you wake up in the morning, how many of us, I know I have been guilty of this, is like, here we go again. Another day of blah, blah, blah. Here we go again. Another day where I'm just going to be annoyed and frustrated. And you guys don't have to tell me if you've ever felt like this, but I will go ahead and say, I used to live like this. Okay. I used to live like this. And let me tell you, it wasn't as fun as the way I live now. So I'll tell you that. And so, what an intention would be is, okay, I'm setting the powerful intention that today is going to be a good day. I'm setting the powerful intention that today I'm going to be more aware of how my stress levels pop up and around what and around who and around what I might think or when I watch certain TV shows or listen to certain podcasts or whatever it is, right? I'm going to have a more high level of intention around being aware of these things that might be triggering me into a nervous system response that I don't like. The nervous system, in case you guys aren't aware, is there's a parasympathetic and a sympathetic nervous system. One is rest and digest. That's the one that we want. And one is the one that we don't want, which is fight or flight response. You can kind of liken it to those two things. So one is more elevated and stressed, and one is more calm, cool, collected, right? And so what we want to do is start setting these intentions first thing in the morning, that I am just setting the powerful intention. I'm just going to start to be a little bit more aware with this. And I'm going to kind of make it a little game and just see how calm I can stay in any situation, right? And maybe you have a journal or a notebook and you say, oh my goodness, I never realized how I'm already stressed before I even walk in the door or before I even sit in my chair or before anything's even really happened yet. So you don't really have a need to be stressed. Nothing's happening yet, but your body is prepared because that's what it's memorized. So this is where we start to add in certain ways of offsetting the nervous system, which is deep breathing is one of the best ones that you can do because you can easily do it any place, anywhere, anytime. It's, depressing the diaphragm down, letting the belly come out. So those deep belly breaths, what that does is it actually is kind of invigorating and massaging, if you will, the vagus nerve, which has a lot to do with our stress levels, with our relaxation response, all of that kind of stuff. It also gives you oxygen. One of the first things that goes when we're stressed is we start holding our breath and clenching our muscles and tensing our muscles. And then the oxygen can't flow freely because we're tensed up and we're breathing short and shallow when we do breathe, or we're just straight up holding our breath. I don't know about you, but I do have a problem with holding my breath sometimes. It's not something that I'm consciously aware of, but I'll go, my goodness, I need to breathe. Like I just need to breathe, right? So something as simple as that, or just taking the setting the powerful intention. I know that this is just a memorized response and I don't really like it. I know it's not good for my health. And so what I'm going to do is just work on calming my nervous system down. I like to use the CEO of my nervous system because I used to believe that I was at the mercy of my nervous system, meaning I thought that it ruled me. right? Because that's what it felt like. It felt like it was in control of my mind, of my thoughts, of anxiety or stress or whatever. And the truth is like, wait a second, it's my nervous system. Hmm. Just like this is my pen, right? So if this is my pen because I own it, that means I own my nervous system too. And that means that I can command it to do what it is that I want, which is to be calm and happy and excited, right? And enjoy my life, enjoy being in gratitude. We talked a lot about gratitude last night. Randy was there. I think, what, were you there, Melissa? I can't, no, I don't think so. It was, I know Randy was there. So the final thing that I want to say about this is that while all of this is really great, what I want to first tell you is that this is by no means an on off switch. So if you accidentally developed a negative emotion or connection, right, trigger response around, let's say, your computer or around a certain coworker or around a project that you're working on or whatever, chances are it took place over time. And for some of us, it may be even years. Okay. So it depends on what the thing is. Um, so for that reason, what we would prefer to happen is it's like an on-off switch, like off stress, off negative thinking, off whatever. In my experience, it's more like a dimmer switch. So when you are implementing these things around different places and areas of your life and in the office and in work specifically, most people are feeling most of the stress because of work. However, you might have different stressors at home. You could this applies at home or at work. You can use them however you want. But what we want to do is understand that this is a process that takes dedication. So just like I can't do one set of crunches and expect to have a six pack, darn, I wish it was like that. I wish it was like that. The same way we can't expect to do deep breathing once and unanchor this messy neurology that has taken place, right? So I know, really, LOL. Funny, but not funny. Like, it'd be awesome. Not quite it, right? Yeah, if only, I agree. So basically what we want to do is say, okay, what I'm going to do, because this is a science-based thing. I know that it's real. I know that it's true. What I'm going to do is make this a game and just play this game every single day. And the more that I play the game, the better player I become. The more that I practice the new language, the better speaker I become. The more that I practice this math equation, the easier the math becomes, right? So it's just like anything else in life. And actually, your neurology is very much like a muscle. The more you pump it, the bigger, thicker, stronger it becomes in whatever area it is that it was getting worked. And so, if the stress levels and the stress hormones have been getting worked and worked and worked and worked day in and day out over time, that means that they're very big, thick, and strong. And these are very wimpy and weak right now. But the more that you focus upon this side of things, the gratefulness, the gratitude, the intention setting, the waking up and setting the powerful intention that you're going to have an amazing day, that today's going to be different, right? That is actually starts to build this. And as you build this, what happens is this starts to get weak. Have you guys ever had a cast? Have you ever had or know anybody that's had a cast? Good for you if you've never had a cast. I don't recommend it. But what happens is that when you take off, let's say if it's your arm, it is so skinny. It's so like puny. And it's just because you simply haven't been able to move those muscles at all for 6 to 8 or 12 week period. Now it comes back, but basically that's what happens is that because you don't use this neurology, it starts to become atrophied. And then this gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, right? So the more you're pumping it and the more that you're lifting it, the easier this becomes. And the truth is that we only have so much time on this earth and in this world. And I think leaving behind stress could tremendously improve our quality of life in many different ways. It improves our relationships, it improves your health, it improves so many things. And so even though this is not easy, it's learning a new habit, it's certainly worth it. It's certainly worth it. And the other thing that I want to say in the last minute is that you basically have two different minds. You have a head mind and a body mind. The head mind gets on board with this new way before the body mind does. So your head mind will say, I can handle these emails, I can handle this report. Your body mind is going, but remember when we were so scared or freaked out or upset or whatever?" And it's like, "Yes, I remember. We're going here now. We're going to do this now." Right? So there might be some times when you're telling it what to do, but your body isn't following. It will over time once it starts to understand this new way that you're living, the new way that you're thinking, the way that you're acting. All right, you guys. So did you enjoy that? Please let me know. Awesome. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Chris. Yay. Very cool. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. If you know anybody who might benefit from these sessions, please tell your friends. The more the merrier, like I said before. Oh, you're so welcome. It's my pleasure. My pleasure, my pleasure. I will be back again on Monday, so I hope I get to see you guys on Monday. So I'll be here on Monday and Thursday of next week. And until we meet again, I want to wish you so much love, so many blessings. And if you end up having questions, like you think about this, like, oh man, I don't know about this or that, please write them down and you can bring them on Monday, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. All right, you guys, I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody. Bye.